On this edition of Independent Sources, American Addiction, how the cultural narrative has changed around the war on drugs since more white Americans have succumbed to addiction. And International Eats, an innovative initiative that seeks to help refugees resettle in the United States. Those stories and more coming up. Welcome to Independent Sources, bringing you news from New York's ethnic and immigrant communities. I'm Abby Ashola. During the mid-1980s, the crack epidemic was epitomized by the images of crack babies, neighborhoods ravaged by gang violence, and the wizened bodies of African Americans who appeared to be epileptic prophets of doom. These days, the face of addiction is changing, as well as the nation's attitude towards the issue. Back then, politicians warned of super predators and saw addiction as the collective moral failure of Black America. But now that mortality rates among young white Americans are increasing because of heroin addiction, the narrative is changing. Gary Pierre spoke to Dr. Eko Yankah, a professor at the Benjamin Cardozo School of Law, about the change in attitude towards drug addiction and prosecution in the United States.
Professor Yankah, give us a sense of the face of this heroin addiction. Who is a typical addict?
And it's always difficult to speak about typical because, of course, as we know, addictions can affect anybody. They can be people that you think of as the person next door. But what is true is that we've seen the growth of the both opiate and heroin addiction in places that before thought of themselves as out of the way of drug addiction. Mm-hmm. So in New York, it's not the Bronx or some housing section people are already worried about. It's Staten Island, which is the epicenter of the heroin epidemic. Outside of New York, it's rural places in the Northeast, and pretty places in New England, New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, the kind of places where people just didn't think these kind of things could touch
What's
them.
behind it? What's happening? Are we missing something?
It's hard to know in some ways. I mean, of course, how these things occur are never perfectly clear. But what does seem to be contributing to it has been a huge amount of prescriptions of opiates, of prescription opiates when people are injured. Indeed, one of the perverse things that has occurred, one of the perverse things that we've noticed is that where some doctors were hesitant to prescribe opiates for African Americans and Hispanics in pain, they were very liberal to meet what they worried were the physical pains of their white patients. This meant that too many people started taking opiates, started relying on opiates, and from there the graduation to heroin has been devastating.
Is this a class thing as well?
I think in some senses it is. I never want to overstate that. Drug addiction affects, nobody less famous and wealthy than Philip Seymour Hoffman died in a multi-million-dollar New York apartment. So I certainly don't want to think it's cabin. But what is true is opiates and prescription drugs have been overprescribed, and then when people are seeking an equal or greater high that's cheap, heroin is available. So there's no question that the cheapness of it has had a huge effect.
Now, we see there's been a lot of compassion from law enforcement regarding this latest wave of addiction. Why is that?
Yeah, there are always a lot of reasons. The most obvious good-hearted one is that we've seen a generation, 2 generations of the war on drugs fail. We've seen what it's like to just feed person after person, including mostly bodies of color, to prison systems, to try to police our way out of these problems, and we've seen it fail. So I certainly think that's part of it. The sad part is I also think we have to recognize that there's a huge amount of it that's simply racial. When it's people that now you look at and it is the person next door, or the person you always imagine to be next door, the person that looks like, for too many people, as they imagine their nice, clean-cut kid, suddenly you have people thinking, these are real people and we have to save them. And that's a sort of humanity that was missing when it was an imagined, distant, urban, inner-city African-American thug.
Well, for instance, when you look at the crack epidemic that fit that stereotype or that profile, it was incarceration, incarceration, incarceration. Now, what do we have going? What is a policy generally in law enforcement towards the heroin addict?
So, as you well know, policing is a state-by-state issue, and indeed, even individual police chiefs have their own power. So I would never want to make it seem as though simply anybody snapped their fingers and everything is perfect. Indeed, one of the things that's heartbreaking is speaking to people who are on the front lines of the heroin addiction now, and them telling me, if things have gotten better, there's still a long way to go. That being said, your point is well taken. The truth is now we talk about police officers carrying medicine on them to affect somebody who's having an overdose. I saw a stunning article that was tweeted out by Senator Brown of Ohio recently that the Krogers in Ohio were going to start carrying antidote.
Those are grocery stores in Ohio.
Exactly, grocery stores in Ohio, in order to make sure that people understand this private company is here for their community. They're here to help. You didn't see anything like police deciding that their first job in the crack epidemic was help, that their first job was leading people to rehabilitation, or that private companies had to welcome people in and support them rather than, be terrified or frankly shame those who were addicted in the 80s.
Give us a sense of the scope of this epidemic nationwide. What are we talking about?
I think in some senses we're trying to get a grip on that, right? The numbers are hard to come by. What is true is that it's obvious that every day it's growing. Somebody said the other day that by their estimation, there's a heroin overdose death in New Hampshire every day.
Wow.
Here's how big an issue it is. What is true is that for the first time, non-Hispanic white mortality is up for the first time in generations. That is to say, people are dying across the country sooner than they were a generation and a half ago. The numbers are complicated. Some of that is suicide, but there's no question that the CDC has declared that the heroin and opiate addiction is contributing to that.
What kind of help are addicts getting at rehab centers, for instance, even before they run afoul of the law enforcement?
Yeah.
They decide, you know what, I have this problem, let me go into a center to get some help.
I don't want to give the impression that everything is perfect. There's still a need for more beds. There's still a need for more investment. It's clear that there are still people who want help who can't get it. But what is true is, to combine the 2 points, politicians, mayors, police chiefs, city councils are all turning their attention now to saying, let's build up those structures now before, as you say, the person becomes only a question of policing, only a question of the criminal law system. Let's get more beds available for those who want them. And critically, let's get beds and support those who even don't realize they want them. Let's have police steer people towards those resources, even when they've bruised the law.
One of the things that I've, in my reading and researching for this segment, is that many of the addicts' family are law enforcement types. How do you explain that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I don't know about the link between law enforcement and the children of addicts. My suspicion is, to be honest, that we are now learning that which was always true. So when America's attitude towards drug addicts was, you have done something wrong, you have shown a weakness, people didn't tell you why their children died. People didn't tell you why their children disappeared. People rushed to hide it. Now we're seeing the exact opposite. Everywhere from the presidential candidates who are willing to talk about drugs and their families, in some cases, a brother who's died, a sister, a daughter who struggled with drugs. Now I think we're seeing the same thing. Law enforcement officers are willing to come forward and say, these are our children too. Whereas perhaps the case was a generation ago, you just wouldn't admit it. You hid. Everybody hid the sister who was a drug addict. Now they're parents who stand up at funerals and they want to make as their message, this was my child, it can happen to your child too.
Now, Professor Yenka, is this the beginning of the end of this really protracted, some would say, useless war on drugs that this country has been undergoing since the 1950s?
Some things have changed, right? We know that the national attitudes towards marijuana, for example, have changed extremely fast, including people thinking of marijuana as more a problem of how we police people than a drug problem itself. But you ask a really powerful question, and I'll tell you why I hesitate. The easy answer would be to say yes. but I had an opportunity to speak to a retired judge in Miami, and he was somebody who started one of the first diversionary programs before I was born. And he noticed that it was actually very difficult to get people invested in these diversionary programs until young white kids started turning up high, often hooked on Quaaludes, and suddenly there was a huge investment in the diversion programs.
So basically the problem has to be white for us to take a look at it. I mean, we've been dancing around on that issue, but it keeps coming back.
The heartbreaking thing is, it is clear that if it is the kid of somebody who everybody relates to, is seen as a pillar of the community, and I don't think it's just race, it's all the things race brings in, right? So if you have the phone number of your city councilman or of your state senator or your state representative, if you know the police chief, then suddenly a group of you are going to be able to affect policy very quickly, because you won't stand for your kids being treated as just criminals, right?
Because you figure that there's another problem, there's a medical problem that needs to be taken care of.
That's right. And you see police officers now speaking this way. You see police chiefs saying, we have to understand that sometimes crime is a symptom of addiction. You and I remember when people tried to say the same thing in the 80s, and it was considered just pandering, or frankly, it was considered a weakness of the black community to say the addiction's the problem, not the crime.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me here.
When we come back, a tasteful way of helping refugees resettle in New York City. Before that, Crystal Lowe has some other news.
Thanks, Abby. Here's a look at some headlines from New York's ethnic and community media. El Diario La Prensa reports that an immigration bond securement company called Libre by Nexus is putting a number of recent immigrants in jeopardy by making a profit off of their freedom. The Virginia-based company contacts undocumented immigrants at detention centers and offers to post their bond. The company then makes customers wear a GPS ankle shackle as a payback guarantee, for which they must pay a steep monthly fee of $420. On top of the rental fee, the Libre by Nexus contract states that the customer must pay 20% of the bond that can run between $10,000 to $50,000. Many recent immigrants believe that they are entering into a contract with immigration authorities. However, they are really just dealing with a bail bonds company. Also from El Diario La Prensa, a new City Hall program is offering free legal assistance to undocumented immigrants. Action NYC is currently operating out of 14 different community organizations in the 5 boroughs. Expert consultants offer assistance on all kinds of immigration procedures, from green cards to DACA and DAPA preliminary paperwork. Aside from legal counseling, Action NYC will feature legal clinics and work with community schools throughout the city. The consultant and education services the program provides will cost the city $7.9 million. Authorities hope that Action NYC will prevent cases of fraud that the city has seen in the past. The recently opened Caribbean House hopes to highlight Caribbean arts and culture in the diaspora. The space is located in the plaza of Flatbush Caton Market. Shelley Vita Wardell started the nonprofit called Caribbean in 1999 as a means of building community through the lens of Caribbean cinema, culture, and art. She says her inspiration for the house came from her passion for Flatbush and it being home to one of the largest Caribbean communities in the world. Ditmas Park Corner reports that the cultural space will not only focus on Caribbean and Caribbean American themes, but also focus on the historic role Flatbush plays as the center of the Caribbean diaspora in the United States. The City Council has approved the co-naming of a part of Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx as Hip Hop Boulevard, in recognition of the area's influence on hip-hop's origins. The Bronx Times reports that the co-naming will cover a stretch of Sedgwick Avenue, which runs parallel north and south to the Major Deegan Expressway and the Harlem River. The Sedgwick Avenue high-rise was dubbed the birthplace of hip-hop after resident DJ Kool Herc held a house concert and back-to-school party in the building's recreation center for his sister Cindy on August 11, 1973. A Hip Hop Boulevard sign will be placed in front of the building at an upcoming ceremony. And finally, the Amsterdam News celebrates hairstyles of black men over the last 100 years in a video that's gone viral. The video was made by a website called Cut.com as part of 100 Years of Beauty, a series featuring singer Lester L2 Shaw with haircuts popular among black men from 1910 up until today. Styles include the conch from the 50s, an afro from the 70s, and a flat top from the 90s. The hairstyles are based on those worn by famous black men throughout history, including Huey P. Newton, William J. Powell, and Little Richard. Those were just a few headlines from the city's ethnic and community media. Independent sources will be right back.
Thanks for staying tuned. Eat Off Beat is a recently launched food delivery service that employs resettled refugees as chefs. The service was started by Manal Kahi, her brother Wissam, and Chef Juan Suarez de Lezo. Zyvis Lebron spoke with Kahi about the variety of food Eat Off Beat offers and what she and her partners hope to accomplish.
Manal, thank you very much for being in studio today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Eat Off Beat. Could you explain exactly what is Eat Off Beat?
Sure. So Eat Off Beat delivers authentic ethnic meals that are conceived, prepared, and delivered by refugees in New York City. We basically hire refugees, we train them, and we help them develop their recipes. So we build on their own culinary heritage and their own home cooking skills to provide New Yorkers with new and off-the-beaten-path cuisines, right, that they wouldn't be able to find anywhere else.
Wow. So why did you decide to do this?
That's a long story, but basically when I came to the US about a year and a half ago, I was a bit disappointed with the hummus I found at supermarkets. It wasn't up to standards. I'm from Lebanon, so I have very high standards when it comes to hummus. And the one you find at supermarkets is just not as good as the one you can make at home.
Right.
So I started making my own hummus based on a family recipe that I got from my grandmother back home. And everyone around me really raved about it. They really loved that hummus. And when I mentioned that to my brother, Wissam, who's my co-founder now, he said, hey, Manal, we should sell it. If it's so successful, we should find a way to sell it. And that's how it started. We started thinking of selling hummus that's authentic, that's homemade, and that's made with love, because we knew that was much better than the one you find. And when we started thinking of who could make really amazing hummus, just like the one our grandma makes back home, we thought of Syrian refugees who were starting to come into the country. So that was 2013. That was the midst of the refugee crisis back home in Lebanon. We already had that in the back of our minds, and we wanted to do something about it. Back home, we felt a bit hopeless. There was nothing I personally could do about it. But here was an opportunity to kind of do maybe just a little bit, help the situation, even if just a little bit.
Of course.
And that's how it started. Afterwards, we knew there was much more to it than hummus. We knew there were many more recipes that had, the same feature. Just like hummus, they were much better when they were made by someone based on a family recipe rather than when you get them in a restaurant. And being curious ourselves, we wanted to discover other cuisines. Mm-hmm. We wanted to see if there's other types of cuisines that had the same offerings, let's say.
Right.
And that's why we opened it up, and that's how we came to Eat Off Beat.
Okay. So now it's delivery. So how did it go from, hey, listen, we want to create this, and why the decision to make it like takeout rather than create a space where you can say, hey, come to our restaurant, we've got all this wonderful stuff?
Yeah, so basically the decision was we wanted to make it available to the largest audience possible. And we knew through delivery you could make it, you could scale much easier. You could go all over Manhattan, parts of Brooklyn, Queens. It was easier to scale in this model rather than have a brick and mortar space where you're restricted. You can only have, say, 30 people at a time. Plus the capital investment is much higher in a brick and mortar space. So that's why we also decided to go into the more flexible, trendy model of deliveries. The other reason is we also saw one thing I may not have mentioned, but we're selling through the website, mostly through the website, our website and phone application. And those are, for us, those are the channels for people or for customers to communicate with our chefs. So we want there to be a lot of communication. We want our chefs to be able to share their stories, to share their ambitions through the website, and to share stories about their dishes, their recipes. They got them from their grandmother or from this particular region in the south of the country. So we want those stories to be shared on the website. And that's why we found that selling online will make this possible. Right. So delivery through a website, through online tools, was made available, was easier for us to sell our story too.
Okay, so what is the website?
It's www.eatoffbeat.com.
Okay, and so the app as well is Eat Off Beat?
Yes, the app is Eat Off Beat. It hasn't been launched yet. We're working on it, so hopefully very soon we'll have an app too.
Oh, wonderful. So now you mentioned the fact that you guys were looking for to cover the widest space available. Who are you guys reaching right now? What boroughs are you hitting right now?
Yeah, so right now we're making deliveries for groups of 10 people and more all over Manhattan, parts of Brooklyn and parts of Queens, even parts of the Bronx.
Oh, wow.
Our kitchen is located in Long Island City, so we're trying to reach every region as long as it's a group of 10 and more.
Okay.
Hopefully in the near future we'll also be able to deliver even to individuals,
All
so
right.
to also fulfill individual orders.
All right, well, I look forward to that. So let's talk a little bit. I've seen some photos, and a lot of the chefs that you guys seem to be taking in, or training rather, are women. Is that, are you specifically focusing on women, or it just happened that it's more women who are coming into the fold?
Yeah, we're not necessarily focusing on women. It happened this way. So when we're opening, so I haven't mentioned, but we've partnered with the International Rescue Committee, the IRC. That's the main resettlement agency in the US, one of the main resettlement agencies in the US.
Right.
And they usually, they help us identify those refugees who are very talented home cooks and who are passionate about their recipes, who are passionate about food and about sharing their culture through food.
Right.
And so far it's been women.
Right,
It's mostly been women. We're not necessarily strict on that. If there are men who want to cook, who want to share their cultures through food, who are passionate about that, we're more than happy to accommodate that.
All right. So now I know that you guys are being assisted by Chef Juan Suarez de Leso. What is his role within the program?
The women we recruit, or the people we recruit, are all home cooks. They don't necessarily have any professional background working in a kitchen space, in a commercial kitchen, or at a restaurant. Chef Juan trains them. So he helps them adjust their recipes, balance their recipes, make sure that they are up to standards, and he helps maintain quality in the kitchen. So he also trains them on hygiene standards, he trains them on cutting techniques, chopping techniques, on cooking techniques, and yeah, so basic training to translate their recipes from a home style to a more industrial style.
Right.
Not necessarily industrial, but a larger scale.
Right, absolutely. So the other thing now I'm curious about is there a specific profile of person that you guys are looking for?
The only thing we require is, as I said, passion for food, passion for sharing your culture through food, and being a good home cook. That's it. Not even English proficiency. Otherwise, you don't need to have any professional background, any particular skills. Very little English helps, but it's not even a requirement. All we need is a passion for food.
Okay.
That's it.
So tell me a little bit about some of the dishes that you guys have, or the chefs have come up with over the last couple of weeks and months.
So one of our most popular dishes so far is a dish called Manchurian. It's made by our chef Rashana from Nepal. It's basically a dish of deep-fried cauliflower with a batter with a sweet and sour sauce. Wow. And it's really great because when you eat it, it feels like you're eating protein. It feels like you're eating chicken or meat, but it's just cauliflower.
Wow.
And the flavors in it are really good. And Rashana is very proud of all those dishes because she also puts a lot of her own touches. So she cooks. And the recipes we share are her own, not necessarily... of course, they're mostly traditional recipes, but there's also her own touch in them.
Of course,
that's
put a little love in it.
for her Manchurian, exactly.
Right.
Other dishes we sell a lot. We have a dish from Eritrea that's called adas or adas. That's lentils puree. It's made by our chef Mitzlal from Eritrea. That's a lentils puree that has it's specific type of spices called berbera spices.
Okay.
Those are spices that you can only find, I think, in Ethiopia and Eritrea.
Right.
It's a bit spicy, but the flavor is just so different.
Right. I've had Eritrean food. It's very spicy. And
it's very spicy.
Do you guys provide the injera, which is like that bread, that
we
foamy
do
bread?
Sometimes. It's on demand. So we still don't have the capacity of making it in our kitchen, but we're hoping to do that very soon.
All right, wonderful. Well, Manal, thank you so much. I wish you and your brother the best of luck with the program.
Thank you for having us.
All right, awesome.
We'll be right back. That's our show this week. Thanks for staying tuned. Till next time, be independent minded.